Well, hello, hello, hello. I am Coach Liz.
Hello, hello, hello. I am Coach Michael Bart Matthews. Welcome to the Book Review Cafe. This is a safe space for your personal development, self-help, and self-actualization journey. Today, we are featuring Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich. Yes, I'll say that one more time. Think and grow rich. So grab a pen and bring a friend and get your notebooks and your journal out so you can take a few copious notes along the way where Dr. Liz and I just give you a few value-added points. And on top of that, we're going to talk about number 2 of 13 principles of Napoleon Hill's, which is faith. And in those principles, Napoleon Hill talks about the self-confidence formula. In order for the self-confidence formula to work, you must understand what faith really means. There's multiple definitions of faith, but for the sake of this teaching, we're not going to discuss the spiritual definition of faith because we respect everybody's religious beliefs and we don't want to offend anybody with what we may say. So we're going to respectfully not talk about the spiritual side of faith. But what we will talk about is the 2 general definitions of faith. One definition is that faith is complete trust or confidence in someone or something. Like I have complete faith and trust in Dr. Liz Blanding and her business acumen, her friendships, and her ability to just be a stand-up person in the global community. Another definition of faith is the assurance of things hoped for and the conviction of things not seen. That's like beginning with the end in mind. You have to see the end in mind and have the faith. And as you go through the journey, have the faith that as you hit those guideposts, you'll get to the end and you'll get your reward because you understood what faith is. You understood going through that journey, and you were persistent enough along the way to walk the walk and talk the talk in spite of any and all obstacles, roadblocks, and setbacks and closed doors that we suffer sometimes going through that journey when we begin with the end in mind. With that being said, now we're going to pivot into the actual Napoleon Hill book, Think and Grow Rich. So you know where we're getting the content from. It's nothing that we're making up, but we will infuse some of our experiences with the actual words that comes out of Napoleon Hill's book within the second of 13 principles, which is faith, reading from the self-confidence formula. And its first formula is as follows. I know that I have the ability to achieve the object of my definite purpose in life. So therefore, before we go any further, we must know our definite purpose or our chief aim, because we cannot be a wandering generality. We must be a meaningful specific. In other words, we need to know what we're going to do every single morning, or like Lisa Nichols says, know that we know that we know that we know what our definite purpose is in life. To continue reading, therefore, I demand of myself persistent, continuous action towards its attainment. So that means you have to get off the porch and run with the big dogs. A lot of us talk the talk, but we fail to take the action to walk the walk. And in order to achieve the end in mind, you have to start on square one or at the bottom of the staircase and walk up to the top of the staircase or wherever that end result is in order to achieve that definite purpose in life. To continue reading, continuous action towards its attainment, and I here and now promise to render such action. And that's what we call self-actualization. I'll read that part one more time. And I here and now promise to render such action. You're talking to yourself when you make that statement. So write that statement down, everybody. I'll read it one more time. I here and now promise to render such action. Meaning if you don't take action, how can you get the things that you write down on your paper, you write down on your journal, or the things that come into your mind to say that that is your purpose in life and you're going to be persistent and take action toward it? Because if you don't know where you're going, how are you going to know when you arrive? Would you agree with that, Dr. Liz?
Absolutely, absolutely. I love that first concept of rendering the promise. So that means that you're committing to something, and really understanding you're committing it to yourself. And you talked about, the action. So that means that, just like I did when you said pull it out, I pulled out my journal and I started to, you said write it down. So we're actually taking action. We're not just, we have the commitment, but then we're also taking the action. And I love that. So I'm going to go into the second here. Of course, I got to get my sexy specs out, right? So I can make sure that I'm reading this correctly, right? So the second, in the self-confidence formula, it says, I realize the dominating thoughts of my mind while eventually reproducing themselves in outward physical action and gradually transform themselves into physical reality. And, that just a point there, it just reminds me of, when you get ready to write your books, right? And if you have that in your mind, you take the action toward writing it out, having a outline, and then, hiring a manuscript development coach, and, and all of these things, because these are actions toward that dominating thought, And so I think that is just wonderful when we really, really, really not only just read the principles, but actually start to apply them. And that's what action means. It means executing, right? So again, to continue reading, therefore, I will concentrate my thoughts for 30 minutes daily, right? That's again the commitment, 30 minutes daily upon the task of thinking of the person I intend to become. And I love that, because it puts in your mind that each and every day we are becoming, right? So every day we should be learning something new, like we're learning the principles and we're walking through the Think and Grow Rich, right? Napoleon Hill says, think and grow rich. So as we are becoming the person that we intend, we have to see that, right? And that's what we talked about in, the first principle about seeing, feeling, right? And then it says, continuing, it says that, therefore, creating in my mind a clear, right? Finding your moment of clarity, a clear mental picture of that person, right? And I think that is just so rich. Wouldn't you agree, Coach?
Oh, I surely do agree. And that first line that you said, dominating thoughts. Now, here's one. I'm sure you all have heard this before, but it's so simplistic, but it means so much about dominating thoughts. If you think you can, you can. And if you think you can't, you can't. Either way, you're right. So whichever one of those thoughts dominates your mind, it determines the outcome that you're going to have. And the other thing that I like that Dr. Liz talked about was 30 minutes a day just concentrating. So here's a lesson for everybody to do based on that. Not right now, but take these notes down if you haven't done it, or you continue to do it. First, you find a place in your home or office that has the best energy and frequency and little to no sound that you're comfortable at, where your creative ideas come from, because attention goes where energy flows, and energy flows where attention goes. And then close your eyes and think and think and think about who you are, where you want to go, how you want to get there, and more importantly, what it's going to look like when you get there. I'll use Dr. Liz and I as an example, even Napoleon Hill as a published author. Like Napoleon Hill journaled for 20 years, interviewing the most successful people during his time on a journal. He turned that journal into a manuscript, and he turned that manuscript into Think and Grow Rich. So as you see the daddy-daughter dynamics behind Dr. Liz, you see it's smoothie time behind Dr. Liz, and finding your moment of clarity and financially speaking behind me, it's because we used the Napoleon Hill principles when we didn't even know we were using them. We kind of stumbled our way to success, but now that we have a real working knowledge of the 13 principles, it's intentional focus on seeing the end in mind with that 30 minutes a day of closing your eyes, meditating, and thinking about where you would like to be. So that way we will move into the third principle. And that third self-confidence formula, rather, not third principle, faith is the second principle of 13, but this is the third principle of the self-confidence formula within the second principle, which is faith. And so here we go. I know through the principle of auto-suggestion. Okay, let's stop right there. Take this down if you don't know what auto-suggestion is. Auto-suggestion is when you talk to yourself, when you say something, you have that conversation with yourself. Sometimes I've heard people joke and say, if I want to have an intelligent conversation, I'll just talk to myself. Well, sometimes you can have an unintelligent conversation as you talk to yourself, depending on what you are telling yourself. So auto-suggestion just means if you want to listen, learn, and apply to the help, training, and assistance that you're saying from yourself to yourself, then you will be better off going down the road. I'll start over. I know through the principles of auto-suggestion, any desire I persistently hold in my mind will eventually seek expression through some practical means of attaining the object back of it. Therefore, I will devote 10 minutes daily to demanding of myself the development of self-confidence. Self-confidence. That means when you talk to yourself, it helps to build up your self-confidence. And when you seek expression, that self-expression from within comes without. We become what we think about. Earl Nightingale said that we become what we think about. And if you all follow Napoleon Hill, Earl Nightingale, has this real commanding voice, and he actually talked about one of Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich books on audio tape, and he puts you in the frame of mind, and he takes you from where you are to a whole nother mindset. And then coming back down to becoming what you think about. There are so many different venues and mental frequencies from the AM station. Here's a good one. AM station to the FM station to the Infinity and Beyond satellite station. So if I'm on satellite and Dr. Liz is on FM and you're on AM, and then you don't even have your radio turned on, we can't communicate. Well, some people's radio is just not turned on. Wouldn't you agree, Doc?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was thinking about that when you said that. I thought about my father. He would tell me all the time that I was a great story writer, right? Had no idea the seeds that he was planting, right? And so that started to develop into me knowing and believing that I could actually become a published author. And as you were saying that, I think about just how amazing the principles are. And when you start to act upon those principles, and that's self-talk, what you say to yourself, that is so important. It's audio suggestion, even on yourself. It didn't have to be like my father put that he did audio suggestion on me, didn't know that that's what he was doing, but he did that with me. And then I believed it, and then created and did the steps and did the work and used my journal to do the outline, just like Napoleon Hill, because success leaves clues, right? So when you follow these principles and you follow these success principles, then it's just like I used to talk about. I'll say my mama's sweet potato pie. If I got creative and didn't follow the recipe for it, then I wouldn't get her sweet potato pie. But if I followed the recipe for the sweet potato pie, then I got the mouth-watering sweet potato pie. So it's the same thing, right? So if you imagine yourself in the kitchen, stirring it up, cooking it, and following the recipe, you're going to get the success. Just like, with the book, just like with finding your moment of clarity behind you and financially speaking, I know you talked about wanting to teach and help people financially. And so you saw yourself doing that. And then audio suggestion to yourself, you manifested that, right? So I just love the principles. And let's go into the fourth, actually self-confidence formula is what we're doing. And this is the fourth one. It says, I have clearly written down a description of my definite chief aim in life, right? That means that I have to have a chief aim. Other than that, we're just wandering around. You talked about the map. If I want to go to California and I say, okay, I just get in my car and point it in any direction, more than likely, I'm not going to get to California. But if I have a chief aim, my aim is California, and I grab a map and I map that journey out, then I'm going to get that. I'm going to get to California eventually, right? So I love that, writing it out and making it a definite chief aim for your life. What is your mission statement for your life, your vision statement for your life, your purpose, right? A definite purpose. And I will never, there's that word never, right? I will never stop trying until I shall have developed sufficient self-confidence or its attainment. That means that we're not just, born with all this big old bowl of self-confidence, but I will never, never stop until I attain it. That is so rich and powerful right there, Coach Mike. Wouldn't you agree?
I sure would. I sure would. And writing down the description, of your definite chief aim in life. Here's a short story. I was in a business incubator a couple years ago, well, before COVID came on board, and the speaker was talking about writing down your chief aim in life and your goals and dreams. And he pulled out his wallet and he pulled out a sheet of paper and he started reading his chief aim. Even though he had it memorized, he started reading it. And when he finished, he put the actual date on it when he wrote it down. And he said, does anybody here, he said, I bet nobody in here has their chief aim in life in their wallet or in their billfold or purse. Of course, Big Mike, because I'm a student of Napoleon Hill, and I've been around the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Dr. Dentley, Sharon Lecter, John Shin, and their teachings. I wrote down my chief aim and stuck it in my wallet. And it made me feel so proud of myself that I was able to be one of two people. And the instructor was the only other person who wrote down their chief aim in life. And then he attributed that to when you're in a room and there's the 1% versus the 98%. So in order to become one of the 1%, we have to do what the 1% do. And most of the successful people that Napoleon journaled on before he turned his journal into a manuscript and then the manuscript into the book, Think and Grow Rich, they all knew their chief aim in life. And it's documented within the book, and the ones who didn't found it and they came on with it. Even Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, who wrote the version Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice, that the Napoleon Hill Foundation sanctioned him to write. He actually knew what his chief aim in life was long before the Think and Grow Rich came along, but he prepared himself for that opportunity, Dr. Liz, and all of you listeners out there. So take a note, take this note, write this down. As Dr. Liz opened up, please write down your chief aim in life and put a date on when you're writing it down, but more importantly, put a date on of accomplishment and achievement of your chief aim in life.
Absolutely, absolutely. That is so amazing. So we mentioned some great tools, and make sure that you click the link below and grab your journals and grab your copy of Think and Grow Rich, right? Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, leaders are readers, powered by the Book Review Cafe.
Yes,
Bye
but
for
we're
now.
but
Oh, wait
we're
a
not
minute.
finished. We're
Uh-oh.
not finished. We're
Uh-oh.
not finished.
Uh-oh.
We're not finished. There's one more in the self-confidence formula, which is the fifth principle. So
Oh my goodness.
you all think we did a blooper, didn't you? No, we just want to mix it up a little bit to make sure that you all are paying attention. We want to make sure you guys are paying attention. So this was a planned blooper for you all to say, oh my God, what are they doing? We're letting you know that we can be vulnerable, we can have fun, and we can still get the message across as we are articulating the Napoleon Hill self-confidence formula. So the fifth and final formula in the 5 self-confidence formulas in the second of 13 principles, which is faith, is, I'm not going to read it all because it's a real long paragraph, even though we have the time. I just want to give you some nuts and bolts of it. And then if you really want to know what the final 5th principle all the way is, and if you really want to know what the full second of 13 principles faith is, get your copy of Think and Grow Rich. As Dr. Liz was telling you to click on the links below, she's going to say that one more time. We didn't want you not to click on the link, but we want you to listen to the 5th principle, and then Dr. Liz is going to take it away because that'll be the last of the self-confidence formulas. So here we go. I fully realize that no wealth or position can long endure unless built on truth and justice. Therefore, I will engage in no transaction which does not benefit all whom it affects. That means a win-win or no deal. So what does that win-win or no deal look like? I'll start with me, the man in the mirror. If I'm working with Dr. Liz or anyone, if I don't earn 1 red cent, but I add value to that other person, I help them accomplish or achieve their mission, their goal, their desire, or their burning desire, or they elevate themselves in some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion because of my willingness to help and serve, that's still a win-win. Because what you put out in the universe comes back in the universe in the form of the boomerang effect. And it's not always from the person that you're helping, but it is going to come back to you in a way that you least expect it, and sometimes at an unexpected or unopportune time that's going to catapult you to a higher level simply because you understand what helping and serving and win-win or no deal. I will succeed by attracting to myself the forces which to use and the cooperation of other people. Would you all agree that Dr. Liz and I cooperate with one another? We laugh, we joke, we respect, we take care of business, and we add value, we help and serve, and we begin with the end in mind. Neither one of us want to be right. We just want to help and serve. So that's full cooperation between one and the other. There's no leader in this partnership that we have. We lead from our expertise. If in cooperation is this, Dr. Liz has expertise in a certain area and I lack, I sit on the back seat. If I have expertise in a certain area and she lacks, she sits on the back seat. And then we stand up side by side and take the hit, good, bad, right, or wrong, because we are a cooperating team. And together, everyone should achieve more in the word team, because there's no I in team. As bad as Isaiah Thomas, Mark Aguirre, Ricky Green, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, and Chicago's own Michael Jordan, none of them won championships by themselves. So it was the team effort, a team effort. So one more time in your journal, write down teamwork makes the dream work. Teamwork makes the dream work. Doc, about team, give us a little bit of information about teamwork and the dream work, and then close us out.
Oh my goodness, my goodness. When you said that about cooperation, that is it's so important, because if you're all rowing the boat and you're rowing in the same direction, that means you have a rhythm going on. That means you all are going towards that same definite aim, that same definite purpose. And it's just such a different vibe. It really works. So that's what you want to look for. The people that are around you, the people that are in your circle, they have so much influence. And so you want to make sure that team is the right team of people that are going to cooperate, that it's not about me by me, that it is a cooperating team, right? Somebody got your back when you're going up for that 3-pointer, or you going for, whatever you're doing, you all are on the same page. And it is so much more peaceful. You have peace when you're all on the same team and you're cooperating together. So again, we are going to click on the links below and grab your copy of all of your material, right? And then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Remember that leaders are readers, powered by the Book Review Cafe. Now we're going to say, see you later for sure this time. Bye for now.